Welcome to another edition of Inside UFLB, the greatest fantasy baseball league that you will ever find. My name is Dean Millard. I am the head of baseball for UFF Sports. I am also the commissioner of UFLB. I have a great team working with me, and we are going to make this the greatest baseball league that you have ever participated in, because it's going to be just like running a Major League Baseball team. This show, by the way, is presented by Ultimate Franchise Fantasy Sports. That is the umbrella we are all under. This great fantasy sports on the blockchain platform. It is next level. You're going to want to get into a bunch of other sports. Hockey, baseball, football, basketball. That's just what we have going right now. More still to come, and more leagues within those sports than just at the major level. Also, this show is broadcast on Ultimate Fantasy Sports Network, UFSN, your one-stop fantasy sports shop. We will tell you all about that as we roll along with this program. But I want to tell you about what the mission of this show is all about.
This is a serious message. Peace and love. Peace and love.
So, 27 straight outs in baseball is a perfect game. This show will strive to be exactly 27 minutes from the time we throw out the first pitch in just a little bit. We'll have a ticker and a counter and all of that good stuff. So that is the mission of the program. And big thanks to our title sponsor, Ultimate Franchise Fantasy Sports, the most realistic and highest stakes fantasy platform out there. The first fantasy sports platform on the blockchain. Whatever sport UFFS builds mimics nearly everything about the league it's based on. The rule book for UFLB is out right now. It is a deep read. You're going to want to know about this to get involved. If you consider yourself hardcore, a professional fantasy player, but this is too much, you need to rework that terminology because you got to know a lot. But that's the greatest thing about this, is getting in and feeling like you're running a Major League Baseball team. UFLB will be the next best thing to owning an actual team. And you'll get the chance to own player NFTs, as they're not just fantasy players. Different players signing up. Ian Kinsler is our ambassador. So, a lot of great stuff going on. You can check out the website, www.uffsports.com. And if you would like more information about the upcoming franchise auctions for Ultimate Fantasy League Baseball, November 5th to 7th, send an email, info@uflb@gmail.com, and we will get you all of the goods that you need.
You talking to me? You talking to me? You talking to me? Then who the hell else are you talking? You talking to me? Well, I'm the only one here.
Drop us a line at Duck Millard, at the UFLB, and at UFLB_scouting. We've got a massive scouting platform. Scouts track real-world players, sell them to fantasy franchises. Again, info@uflb@gmail.com. If you want to get in touch with UFSN, UFSN@uffsports.com, and all the information can be found at www.uffsports.com. All right, we are going to get things going here on the show. It is time for us to play ball. All right, the ticker the counter has started. There you see it up on the screen. It is time for me to try and pitch my perfect game. So we're going to have Jordan Blundell on the show with us today. He is the head coach and the AGM of the Edmonton Prospects. He also participated with us when it comes to the list. There's his list of 30 players. We'll get into that in the interview. He's a potential GM in this league. Well, we'll see. He is a GM in an actual baseball league, and maybe his actual owner is looking at checking out a team. So we'll bring you that conversation in just a few minutes. The rule book, as mentioned, is officially out. You can find the article at uffsports.com. Click on the news section. You can find all about this awesome league and the rule book that goes along with it. As mentioned, it is pretty deep. Franchise auctions, as I mentioned, November 5th to 7th. You need to register if you are going to bid on a franchise. Also, we announced in a press release this morning that you can find at uffsports.com in the news section we announced some awards. Well, last week, on Monday when we revealed the rule book, we announced what the team championships will be. It is going to be the Zilliqa Cup for the playoff champion. Get rid of that for just a second. And the Branch Rickey Award for the regular season champion. The team with the most points during the regular season will win the Branch Rickey Award. They'll get a banner, and the playoff champion is going to get a gorgeous trophy. Trophy Smack is who we partner with on UFF Sports for our trophies. It's going to be great. So the Zilliqa Cup playoff champion, the Branch Rickey champion is also going to be given out. And here are the player awards that we are going with on in UFLB. And there's a great article at UFFsports.com in the news section. You can read about how we came about some of these names, but you got Barry Bonds for the MVP, Nolan Ryan Award for the top pitcher, Jackie Robinson, who was the first ever recipient of the Rookie of the Year, so that makes sense. Going all the way back to 1896 with Connie Mack and the Manager of the Year Award, Josh Gibson. We're hoping to work more with players that were in the Negro Leagues as well and get them some recognition. And Josh Gibson is the Top Hitter Award. Great suggestion by Matt Soren right there. Reggie Jackson, who else but Reggie for the championship MVP. Big Papi, David Ortiz, Johnny Bench were both clutch in the playoffs. They are the conference championship MVPs. The Sandman, who else but Mariano Rivera as the reliever of the year. And we will have silver sluggers, one for each of the 9 hitting positions. And we have the DH as well, and that'll be chosen by an awards committee. Just how we're going to give out all of these awards, not 100% settled on, but we will get there very, very soon as we go on. These will be handed out at about close to this time next year. When the playoffs are upon us and we have a full playoff. We're going to tell you about the playoff structure a little bit later on in the program, but wanted to give you the latest news from UFLB and what we have going on when it comes to player awards and things that will be handed out and celebrated as we go along. All right, let's bring in, after we hear a short word from I think it's going to be Bull Durham today. I think we're going with Bull Durham. We'll hear a little bit about UFFS, and then we'll chat with Jordan Blundell, who is the head coach and the AGM of the Edmonton Prospects, and possibly a GM of a team in the UFLB. That is coming up next.
Don't try to strike everybody out. Strikeouts are boring. Besides that, they're fascist.
Presented by Ultimate Franchise Fantasy Sports.
Throw some ground ball. More democratic.
Get in the game, where you own the game.
Inside UFLB is part of the Ultimate Fantasy Sports Network, your one-stop fantasy sports shop, and we're building something all fantasy fans will love. And we're looking for quality programming to join us. Reach out if you're interested in being a part of the rotation, whether you have a daily, weekly, or even monthly show. If it's about fantasy sports, we would love to chat. You can follow at UFS Network for more information, or you can email UFSN at UFFsports.com. Well, it's always a pleasure when I get to chat with my guest this week, former co-host of mine on the Prospects Baseball Show and the head coach and the assistant general manager of the Edmonton Prospects, Jordan Blundell, also a big fantasy guy, helped us out with his own top 30 list. Thank you very much. We'll get into that in a second. But we had a meeting today, myself, yourself, and Pat Cassidy, the owner, and your real baseball boss, possibly your fantasy baseball boss. I'm not sure. See if you guys dive in and grab a franchise or not when the auctions come. But what did you think as we were talking about this league? And I've been kind of telling you a little bit about UFFS as we've been going, but today was a real chance for you guys to kind of dive in. What comes up when you think about our league?
Opportunity. The amount of detail to the league is obviously second to none. So from that side of things, it's the details, the execution, and all those things that are really attached to real sports. So pretty exciting idea, and new and unique, and it's kind of where the world's going. So progressive, if you call that the catchword, and looks like it's going to be something that's really exciting, Dino.
Yeah, this is something that, what is the reason we play fantasy? The reason we play fantasy is we want to feel what it's like to build a championship team from the ground up, possibly, and win. That's the reason you get into fantasy, to give yourself more enjoyment and to feel like I could run a team. That's what this is. Like, Ian Kinsler said it best. He thinks we shouldn't even call it fantasy because it's so real, but this is the ultimate in fantasy and in realism. And how many times have you and I joked about, when you're going out to take a pitcher out for the prospects, you're thinking fantasy too, because we're always thinking fantasy. This literally does bring that into play.
Oh, exactly. You need to pay attention. You need to have a heartbeat of the scene and what's going on and where players are at. To an nth degree compared to just your typical standard fantasy leagues that we've all been playing here for a few years. The attention to detail, like I said, Dino, is amazing. It's what separates this league from your regular leagues, and that's what also makes it so exciting, is that these are real decisions, and obviously it's not real life, but these decisions have consequences for your team, and that's the cool part about this. And it's really building and doing those things we did as a video game when the first options came out to draft a whole team yourself, and then you take that team and play against your buddies or play a sim league. That's happening now, man, and it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's everything about running a Major League Baseball team without the $1 billion price tag of buying a franchise and having to massage the egos and everything. You let the actual Major League Baseball manager do that, and you control things from a fantasy point of view. But it is so much lifelike as far as the decisions that you're going to have to make, being aware of different things when it comes to players and where they are in their careers. And you said it, when everybody wants to be in control in that video game format or whatever, this is it. This is putting you in the driver's seat of a possible franchise. And, that's going to take a lot of work. We asked you, and you kindly obliged to give us a version of the list, your 30-man list. There will be 30 franchises. So this kind of essentially could be your first round. And how tough was putting this list together when you're now imagine now doing, another 26 of these lists for the rest of the rounds. Like, this is an involved undertaking. What was it like putting this list together?
Well, it was fun. The first 10 players, I mean, they're interchangeable with the next 10 players based on your opinion and kind of where you see their value. So that was part of the decision making, is trying to figure out exactly where do all these players slot. And every given year things are different. For this particular draft list, Dino, I mean, Mike Trout and Jacob deGrom, in my opinion, are still the two best at what they do. So they're still in the mix. But, if they deal with another year of injuries, perhaps they're not even in the top 30. So it's really year-to-year base. There's some players probably that just missed the list that, definitely could be in that list. But, how do you slot Bryce Harper 7th overall when he might be the National League MVP? Those kind of little decisions are what make these lists pretty fun. Easy to put a bunch of names together, top 50, and then you got to pare it down. So it was a fun exercise, Dino.
The thing I found really interesting, DeGrom being as high as he is such good value for the Legends League. And we've been talking about that. Like, Mike Trout, I still think, is more of in his prime than Jacob deGrom is. And injuries have obviously robbed DeGrom, but he is the GOAT. He's the GOAT, as you call him, and he will be massive in the Legends League. I was really surprised you had Ohtani 5. I didn't think anybody wouldn't have Ohtani number 1, with the fact that in our league, you're going to be able to start him as a hitter and a pitcher on the same night, so it gives that bonus points. But I'm concerned about Ohtani being able to be as effective as he was this year continually. Do you have any concerns about that?
Yeah, I think it'd be I think it's natural to have concerns with any pitcher, and he has a history of some issues with the arm. So, obviously you don't want to see that, but for him to continue to replicate this success year after year, and have all the other workload with hitting and all that. Yeah, what are we talking about? Can he stay healthy? In this particular year, he's probably the best player possible to pick. The double scoring of the pitching and hitting is something we've never seen before, and frankly, he's the most valuable fantasy baseball player. So you wouldn't be wrong taking him first, based on this year. Can he continue to do that? Is there enough of a track record to justify that first overall pick? I don't know. Based on this year, yeah, you would do it. You would take this year. He's number one. With Mike Trout and DeGrom, you've got a track record of dominance. So I wouldn't expect them to falter. They'll be at the top, if they're healthy. And that's why I put them ahead of Ohtani. If Ohtani does this for 5 years in a row, I think it would be amazing. And let alone to think, a Hall of Fame career of 12 to 15 years of doing this. Pretty amazing stuff this year, Dino. Let's just hope he can continue doing it.
If he does this for 5 more years, he's the greatest baseball player of all time. Because people think Babe Ruth is the greatest baseball player of all time. I'm not even sure Babe Ruth, he stopped pitching at some point. I think Ohtani's going to have to do that. But it is certainly an incredible story. And, where you're bidding is where you're going to be drafting. So if you want Vladdy, you really want Vladdy Guerrero, you're probably going to have to sneak into that top 3. I have a hard time thinking in a brand new dynasty league that Vlad Guerrero is going to drop out of the top 3 after his season this year. The cachet that comes with the name of Guerrero. Imagine in time having Vlad Sr. and Vlad Jr. in the same lineup, hitting one after another. That's pretty cool. But I think you're going to have to bid really, really high if you want to get a guy like Vlad. Now, the good thing is, you could drop down if you wanted like a Bo Bichette or a Marcus Semien or whoever you want to throw in there as far as a Blue Jay that you think could be really great. Wherever you're bidding is going to determine where you draft. So it's going to really depend on strategy for a lot of people, because I know there's a lot of people that take it as a challenge to build a championship team while drafting from the back of the bus.
Yeah, no doubt. There's definitely gems and Dino, 1 year's not the next year. So just because you have an MVP type year this year, that doesn't mean you'll have that next year. We're looking at Christian Yelich right now, and his numbers aren't MVP caliber. Cody Bellinger, same thing. So these are really great baseball players that didn't have the same year that they've had in the past. And in this particular year, it would warrant a high draft pick, and then you get a down year next year, and your lineup struggles. So there's gems every year. Baseball's a crazy sport in that sense. As every year there's new players coming in and making an impact. So yeah, I think you can be successful at the backgrounds of this league, no doubt.
It's interesting. You talk about Ohtani being revolutionary, and that's why he fits so well with this platform, because we are revolutionary as well. And that goes along with, most fantasy leagues, they end either, the second last week or sometimes the last week of the season. Ours, it's a full regular season play, points play. Then we actually have a playoff system from wild card to divisional to conference to championship, where you're picking up players. I haven't seen a lot of that out there. So this gets you in play from game 1 to the final game of the season. That is also pretty next level stuff when it comes to fantasy.
Yeah, it's a grind. It's the whole 162 here. There's no way out. There's no easy way out. You don't get a couple of weeks off at the end of the year. And really, this is it's a lifestyle. Baseball is a lifestyle, man. And this is one way to be fully submerged in the baseball lifestyle. A real GM, he's probably working, the day after the season's over. He's back in the office doing the work he needs to do. So that's what you're looking for here from ownership and scouting and the whole caboodle is that full commitment. That's what you need to be a winner, honestly, Dino, at really anything that you do. So this will be no different.
And you know about that, man. This is what you do for the Edmonton Prospects. You're the head coach, you're the AGM, you're recruiting, you're always, which I think scouting is perfect for you because you're already looking at some of the best players out there in baseball to try to get them to come up and play here. And you know, just because you're watching one guy doesn't mean you can't take a look at another guy. Even though you might not have a chance at recruiting him, you might be able to scout him in our league. But you do this, so you know what the grind of running a baseball team at maybe a smaller level is. So you know exactly how much work that goes into that. And now you've put that on a fantasy level with everything else, and it is a lot of work. You know, we're not sugarcoating it for people. If they want to get involved, you're probably going to form a committee, a staff, and you said it, it's a lifestyle. There will be people doing this for a living, and people laughed at gamblers and poker players and video game players when they said they were doing that. But you know, this is what we've always dreamed of, man. Fantasy as a living. Like, you get to live the real thing, but you could also live the fantasy real thing. I mean, it's a real neat opportunity for a lot of people.
Yeah, no doubt, Dean. This is, you know, where the world is now. There's everything you can do is online, and this is a facet in the sport of baseball to really tap into that unbridled love. You know, the full out baseball 162, that you take this seriously. Like, this is your job. Good opportunity for some people for sure to get in this, and something that's going to continue to grow. I mean, this league's going to grow from day one into what it'll become. It's going to be amazing.
Yeah, just like what you guys are doing with the Western Canadian Baseball League and the Prospects. I mean, you guys started at John Fry Park in south side of Edmonton. You ended up moving to a stadium. Attendance grew year by year. You're putting together a beautiful park in Spruce Grove, and you took the team to the championship final last year. I mean, you did get kicked out for not talking to an umpire at one point, which we'll try not to go into, but bravo, man. In a really challenging year, you seem to handle things that came at you, and your team had tremendous success. What was this year like for you on the real diamond?
You know what, Dean, though, it's your ups and downs for sure, just like any other year. We had some different issues and subject matter because of the pandemic that is new and unique to this past season. You know, challenges for players and living, and you know what, then we ran into some you know, physical injuries, the physicality of the league, and however many games we end up playing in so many days, and we had a lot of players that hadn't gone through that, you know, for over a year. They hadn't had a chance to compete at the college level full out. You know, they were just stuck in practice mode, restricted because of the pandemic. So, you know, we saw a lot of things coming at players pretty quickly. And, yeah, we were fortunate enough to keep the ship right and get into the playoffs, and then have a real good upset in the first round, and gave ourselves a chance to be the last team standing, which is a goal of ours every year. And last year was no different, and next summer will be no different as well. It's fun, man. You get to know players, develop relationships, and it's for the common goal of trying to be that last team standing. And you know what, for me as the manager, just really proud of my guys, you know, dealing with some physical injuries and overcoming adversity and getting their bodies right to get back on the field. You know, we had some new players join us throughout the season that fit in seamlessly with our core. You know, our core guys, we're full of some guys that we're playing every day, and some guys that were hurt, you know, and then we ended up losing some of our core because of the injuries. They went home early, and so you're kind of rebuilding on the fly all year. And credit to the guys that were here for the whole summer, and what they meant to the franchise, and what they were able to do on the field late at the end of the year. You know, we did play some good baseball to give ourselves the chance to be that last team standing. Just came up short. So all in all, a great year, a surreal year at the start, Dino. Like, the first game, you know, there's 150 fans with capacity restrictions, and you know, just getting up into pregame and the pregame music, and just going through that process again was something pretty cool. I think that'll be a memory I've got personally for forever, is that first game coming out of the pandemic, and what that meant to our franchise, the league, me personally as a baseball coach, and getting on the field with the guys. Really cool year, Dino, and I'm really happy we were able to get something done as a league this year.
Yeah, it was great to see baseball again, particularly on Baseball Day in Canada. It was a privilege to be a part of that. I absolutely loved that. And now you get to start hoping for some more normalcy next year. Do you go into this off season thinking we're going to be right back to normal, and scouting and recruiting is back to where it was pre-pandemic?
Yeah, that's our approach. We will approach it as if we have no restrictions, and when something comes up, if it does, we'll deal with it at the time. And we were well versed in that last year, with the border issue and then our American players, and when we made the decision to just be Canadian only players because of that. We had to transition as a group for sure, and pivot and get back on the phone and find some more guys to join our ball club for the summer. So we're already, full force recruiting mode. We've got a player signed, with a whole slew of names left to get done and contracts to get out here shortly. So, I think we're in a good spot. We're probably a little bit behind as far as player signees go at this point of the year. And the funny thing with this is you put a lot of time in, and things can happen quickly. And, we're probably close on another handful of players, and that'll put us right kind of where, we expect to be around 10 players kind of by Halloween that we have a pretty good commitment or a full contract signed. And then we go from there. So it's more of the same. We're looking forward to opening the borders up and having, the part of our family down in the U.S. be able to join in. We've got a lot of programs that we've done work with in the past and had players from, and we want to reopen that connection. So we're working hard right now, Dino, to put the best team we can on the field for next summer.
Looking forward to that. I can't wait for the first former prospect player to make Major League Baseball and have his NFT minted on the UFFS platform. That would be cool. Maybe we got to get Homer his own NFT. I mean, Homer the mascot is legendary. Maybe that's what we got to look at, is getting Homer his own NFT collectible or something. Okay, quickly. We love baseball. Obviously, we talk about it as much as we think about it as much as we can. What do you got tonight? Dodgers, Giants, Game 5. This is the first time, I can't believe, they've ever met in the playoffs. And then after that, do the Red Sox have a chance at advancing to the World Series? Those two questions for you.
I got the Giants-Dodgers game. I'm going to go with the Dodgers in that experience, the athleticism in their lineup, the difference maker, Mookie Betts. I expect him to have a typical Mookie Betts day. Trey Turner, man, that player is a game changer as well. So I'm looking at those two guys. I like the Dodgers bullpen. We'll see them take Game 5 tonight. I know that makes you happy that I'm leaning on the Dodgers side. Dino, and then as far as the Red Sox series with the Astros, to me, the Red Sox seem like that destiny team this year.
The idiots. They're like the idiots. Remember that team of idiots?
They've got their swag back. I think that they're underrated. They came in with something to prove. To me, they dismantled Tampa Bay and basically did to Tampa Bay what Tampa Bay tries to do to other teams. So the fact that the Red Sox played that game better than the Rays did, to me, is scary. And the Astros are for real. So that's going to be a fun series to see. But for me, I think the Red Sox are the team of destiny right now. And I've got them winning the World Series at this point.
Red Sox-Dodgers rematch would be great on so many levels. 2018, Ian Kinsler was on that team. He's our ambassador. But you got the Betts, Verdugo, everything, Kiki Hernandez, all that stuff. And I'll just say this. You know me. I was one of the, how do you say it, biggest haters of the Astros. And Jim Crane saying it didn't taint it, all that. You know me. I got to tell you, the Astros are impressing me. If there's no more garbage cans, there's no more cheating. They're just crushing the ball right now, and they're basically giving everybody the flipping the bird right now by saying we're back again. You guys thought we cheated, and it's the only way we could win. And I have to say, they're proving a lot of people wrong who thought the only reason they won was because they cheated.
Yeah, I have the same opinion, Dino. They're just a really impressive baseball team right now. they've got all the elements you need. They've got that experience, that dynamic. And you know what? A dangerous team is a team that has something to prove or feels like they've been wronged. So, you know, you got the Red Sox as an underdog, maybe haven't been taken seriously as a contender all year, and they don't like that. And then they've got the Astros that are dealing with what they've dealt with in the scandal, and they've also got something to prove. So let's hope for a 7-game series and some late inning dramatics in Game 7.
Yeah, I love baseball. Just the pre-pitch anticipation is something. That sound of the crowd where the announcer is not talking is one of my favorite sounds of all time. So, man, thank you so much for joining me today. I wish you guys all the best. I can't wait to work with you guys down the road. And I really hope that you and Pat and whoever else jumps in board in the bidding in November, and you're running a team in this league. It's what we've always talked about, and I really appreciate your time today. Thanks so much, man. Go Dodgers, and enjoy the rest of the playoffs, dude.
Thanks for having me on, Dino. Go Dodgers.
Don't try to strike everybody out. Strikeouts are boring. Besides that, they're fascist.
Presented by Ultimate Franchise Fantasy Sports.
Throw some ground ball. More democratic.
Get in the game, where you own the game.
Inside UFLB is presented by Ultimate Franchise Fantasy Sports, the most realistic fantasy platform around and the only fantasy sports platform on the Zilliqa blockchain or any blockchain. Ultimate Fantasy Hockey League is underway for a 3rd season. UFAFL, American football, is heading into another week. Basketball is about to tip off, and we will have franchise auctions in the Ultimate Fantasy League Baseball November 5th to 7th. If you want more information, it's infouflb@gmail.com. You can find more information and everything about us at the website, www.uffsports.com. Also on this YouTube channel, UFSN, we have a number of different videos that you can check out that'll tell you a little bit about us. All right, that was an awesome, fun interview with Jordan Blundell. The only problem I have is that I will not pitch a perfect game. We are already into the 28th minute, so obviously I've given up some singles, maybe a walk or two here, and probably some people made some errors. Definitely, probably I made some errors. One error I will not make is in telling you about, we talked about the playoff system there with Jordan Blundell. Want to go into a little bit of detail about that, and you can find this in the UFLB rulebook under Section 10. So the cool thing about our playoff system and our league in general is we have a full season. As Jordan said, 162 games. So it's a season-long points structure system. You collect points as the season goes. The first, and then you win your division and you advance to the playoffs. This is how the playoff format will go. So we'll have the exact same rounds: wild card, divisional, conference, championship. What happens is at the end of the regular season, the day before the playoffs, there is a draft. So the UFLB franchises who do not make the playoffs have their MLB-bound players to the playoffs leased to UFLB teams. Example. The Blue Jays make the playoffs, but the team with Vladimir Guerrero in the UFLB misses. You, as a playoff team, can draft Vladimir Guerrero for the playoffs. The other franchise doesn't lose them long term. You are just leasing that player, and the non-playoff franchise gets a portion of your winnings should you make any money. So it gets everybody involved, and it continues to make sure you have a full roster in the playoffs, because if you beat a team, you can take players off of that roster to go on to the next round. This truly is next level. It keeps you involved in the playoffs, and it keeps the players involved, because we will be having direct connection with players that sign up with us to have their NFTs minted. So just another unique format of this fantasy platform that you can check out. The rule book is available upon request. Send me an email, infouflb@gmail.com. That is infouflb@gmail.com. All right, that is going to wrap things up on this show. UFLB is part of the Ultimate Fantasy Sports Network and, of course, presented by Ultimate Franchise Fantasy Sports. Big thanks to Jordan Blundell, head coach of the Edmonton Prospects and hopefully a GM in the UFLB. We'll see if his owner gets a team and gets in on the bidding, which will go November 5th to 7th. All right, time to stop the clock, as we say here, and just find out how bad I did as we hear from Kevin Costner to stop the clock.
You be cocky and arrogant, even when you're getting beat.
All right, 31 minutes. So obviously we gave up a combination of 4 hits or walks, errors, and things like that. Too many men up to the plate. We will strive to get it back to 27 minutes again next week. Thanks so much for tuning in to Inside UFLB. Thanks so much to Jordan Blundell for joining me on the program. We'll have another show next week, unveil more great things about the league. Reminder, if you'd like to get involved, it is simple. Just send an email to info@uflb.gmail.com or any other ways to contact us there on the screen, and we will certainly get that information out to you. One more thing to say before we go, and that is ban the shift. Enjoy the Dodgers and the Giants. Go Dodgers.